but those I painted the flowers on in oil. So of course it will all be oil this time. No acrylic background, just the oil, and I know it's going to be so much more radiant. Yeah, at the same time, there's different uses for things. I mean, this multicolored background looks really pretty. I think. In fact, I could have done it without adding the white. Just had this see-through phthalo green. It would have looked nice. Anyway, now I'm going to, because I've got so many colors, I've decided that perhaps I should start off by just adding little white flowers. And I'll come back and add the little white leaves. But, I mean, I don't really need to add more colourful flowers when you've got such colourful houses. So, that's what I'm going to do. And I'll bring you back when I've done all of that and when I've added the other paths. As you can see, I'm just using the side of this flat brush. I've made a lot of progress. I've added in all the little white flowers. I used sap green for the stem, so now I'm going to just use a little of the phthalo green for the leaves. And I'm probably going to have to come back and do another layer of the white because, like I said, colours just don't show up on a colourful background to their full potential. So, but that's fine. Just as I did the houses. This one's not complete. Well, none of them are complete. I still need to go back with the colours of the walls. The only colour I had was green. So I've got to still get the other colours out. And sharpen up the colours. Because they all got a bit smudged and you know, the white got a bit thicker than it should have been. So if I add like green here, I can thin down this wall here and make that neater. But I'll need purple for the rest. And the same with the doors and the windows, they all got a bit too bigger than I had intended. But that's because I was working at night and I just really, I mean, my vision is pathetic in the day, and at night it's just beyond the pale. I almost don't recognize what I've painted in the morning. Like, really? How did that get there? I make the most of it, but it's just sometimes I really don't know how it got there. I mean, sometimes it's better than what I intended, sometimes it's just not at all what I intended. So then I have to redo everything. Or make changes that, you know, hide what I don't like. Which happens anyway in the daytime, but it's definitely worse when I've worked at night. Or like now when the light is fading behind me. And yeah, I'm having this multiple vision, triple vision, haze. Looking through a dirty glass and trying to figure out what's real and what's my imagination. So there the yellow shines through nicely through that green, and it almost looks like gold. It's amazing. So you never know until you try things out. And every painting should have a surprise, I think. It shouldn't be all predictable. You can't paint 150 roses all in the same way and the same style, and you know, starting and finishing in exactly the same way. I mean, you can. There are people who do. I see people who do acrylic pours and they just do the same thing 1,000 times over 5 years. I cannot say how many times I've seen the same person doing the same thing over and over, and they have an audience for it. So some people like to watch the same thing over and over, just in different colours. And, I'm happy for them, but there's so much one can do that I can't be bogged down and stuck in one style, one mode, ad infinitum. Because then there'll be so much that I'll be missing out on. Like this palm tree is completely different to the last palm tree I painted. Because I don't make a mental note of how I do it. I don't have a formula. I paint as I am kind of led by the colours. Yes, I have a plan, a general plan, but definitely I don't have a formula that I would stick to rigidly and adhere to. Other than that, now, having painted many roses, I can honestly say that the best background for roses is white. And you can add the colour in afterwards. But to get your actual roses to be glowing white, well, you need to be glowing, you need to have their background white. So you can paint around where you're going to paint the roses in other colours. But that's difficult to figure out exactly where you're going to put them, unless you have an outline. So that's why each painting I start and finish differently. I suppose you could say if I do an acrylic pour, it's likely to start in the same way. It's likely to start with the base colour. And then on it I might do, a bloom blowout, or a blowout of in similar, where the shades and the shape is where I want the object that I'm going to paint to actually be. And then I can do a ring pour, and I can just shape that into whatever I want it to be, or I can just put down circles and concentric circles of colour and blow them all together and blow them out and shape that into what I want it to be. There's so many possibilities, but throughout there's always a thread of, a beginning and a middle part, and the middle part, which is usually the ugly part, which is where you're starting to get your colour on, but it's not all coming together yet. But other than that, I definitely don't have a formula. I have some more colours on my palette now, so I'm going to try and put them in and refine everything down. Though the white may be wet still, so it might mix with this colour. And of course, getting straight lines back in, well, it's going to be difficult. But and then also, while I was busy talking, I realized that there was something I already really didn't like about this painting, and that was that I'd made the paths so dark. And although they are going to be stone slabs, they still don't have to be so dark. So then I just painted over some white over this slot, and it's already improved it, but it's still not what I want. So even if I put white in between, because I've got burnt sienna and burnt umber there, but it's still too dark if I put white in between. So I might add some yellow, which will be like yellow ochre, and that will lighten them up. But first I need to put in this colour. And so tell me, what are your thoughts on having a surprise in each painting, doing something different and unique each time you paint? Because each time I'm aware of each day that I live could be my last. That's where I am in my life now. And that's okay, but I just want to make the most of it and not, have done the same thing over and over and left things undone which I could have done or could have tried. So I don't want my paintings to be a copy of anyone else's. They aren't. I don't. Even if I draw inspiration from other artists, that's all I don't copy them. I don't do things in the same way with the same intent. I don't feel any need to. And I just want them to look beautiful in the end, to have some beauty, to add beauty to the world, wherever they may end up. Hopefully they won't end up on a garbage heap. So I'll carry on and I'll bring you back when I've completed all of this. Adding a second layer of colour to the colours in the background, well, to the colours of the houses, the original colours, really made a difference. And now I'm adding some orange and white to the burnt umber and raw umber mixture in between the stones, and that's lightening it up a lot, having a pretty effect next to the yellow that I added in. So I think that's about all I'm going to do, just to lighten it up. Yeah, I still have to add the next layer of the white on the flowers. I don't think I'll do it right now. My kitty is demanding to be fed. She jumped on my neck just as I put the paint down on one of the houses, and well, it always startles me. I mean, I know she's going to do it at some point, but I never know when. And she was just sitting on the floor next to me watching me, and then out of the blue, out of warning, up she jumps. Sits on my shoulders looking out the window. So now she's gone to her bowl, but there's very little left in her bowl. And whereas I used to have 2 bowls, one for each cat, now I only have 1, because when I had 2, she would go and eat the one in the other room, which is for the ginger girl. But she won't allow ginger girl out of the room to come and eat from her bowl. So her bowl was standing there uneaten, and ginger girl was not getting her food unless I sit with her on my lap. So since I can't do that all the time, I just put 1 bowl in the kitchen and hope ginger girl will find her way there when Katie's out of the house, which is, I take her out at least twice a day. And then the other times I do go and feed her on my lap. And I see it's not a chance that Katie's going to let her near the bowl. So now the bowl, I actually took the bowl to ginger girl a while earlier, and so there was nothing much in it. So maybe that's why Katie came and jumped on my neck to let me know she is not happy with the feeding situation. Anyway, I'll carry on doing this off camera because it's really tedious, and I'm sure you don't need to watch me do every stripe, every swipe. And I'm going to sort of blend the colours together. And see how that looks, and then I might come back and add more white or whatever to finish it, complete it when I do the flowers.